Sweet, dude.
So we have on the podcast today, we have pro MMA and bare knuckle fighter, Javier Trujillo. Oh, you mate? You okay?
Good, man. How are you? You all right?
Yeah, man, yeah. How's lockdown treating you?
Same, man. I'm just bored. Missed the gym.
Yeah, yeah. Trying it.
We get a little antsy inside, but it is what it is, man. Just making the most of it, working
Yeah.
out what I can.
So today I want to talk to you about your MMA career, basically, and how you got started in it, and how your career took you around the world.
Yeah, man. I mean, it started when I was 16. I saw my first UFC fight and just thought, like, wow, man, like this is mad. I was playing. I wanted to be like an American football player,
Yeah,
but then I realized I just wasn't going to be the size that you needed to be to do that professionally.
yeah,
And after seeing this UFC fight, I just turned in my football pads and then found a jiu-jitsu school that also did MMA and just kind of started from there. And from it just kind of led me to traveling around. I ended up in Southern California, Northern California, Oregon, Nevada, and then eventually made my way to Thailand where I wanted to learn, like to really like learn striking because especially in America back then, there wasn't really any Muay Thai. I mean, all we really had was a little bit of boxing, but even that was like, they were hesitant at that time to still kind of train an MMA fighter.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, they
yeah,
just kind of wanted to keep them in their little avenue. So I ended up coming to Thailand, training in Chiang Mai, and then eventually making my way to Bangkok, where they started having MMA fights. It used to be illegal there for a long time. And are you still there?
yeah. So there, mate. Yes, so there. You
Oh
just
yeah,
froze a
sorry,
little bit, yeah.
But they started having MMA fights there. It was illegal for a long time, and then somehow they were able to sanction it. And I started fighting for this organization called Fullmetal Dojo. These guys came into my Muay Thai gym, and I was teaching part-time Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu just so I didn't have to pay for fees anymore.
Yeah,
They were looking for guys that were willing to do an MMA fight. He approached the manager. The manager said, Javi will probably do it. He's an MMA fighter. So they talked to me. I asked what the rule set was, and they said, okay, the rule set's a little bit different than from what you're probably used to in the UFC. And I was like, okay, how is that? So what are the rules? He's like, the cage is a 6x6 cage, and it's the middle of a downtown nightclub. So it's super small.
yeah,
That's the venue. And then the rule set is universal rules. I'm like, okay, like what does that mean? And he's just like, well, you can do 12 to 6 elbows are allowed.
wow, yeah,
You can knee to the head to a grounded opponent is allowed. So if they have like 3 points of contact on the ground, they can still knee you in the head. You see in UFC, the guys will
yeah,
plant their hand and kind of wait to cheat till they get back up. Nope. And then everybody's favorite, they said, is soccer kicks to the head are allowed. So you can just go full bore, man. And I was like, that sounds pretty crazy.
yeah,
But I'll do it, man. I'll do it. And first fight, after that, man, I just absolutely loved it. And then won easily with a first round submission. And then my second fight, I fought this guy from America, another guy, a Southern guy, dude. And this guy, he talked mad loads of trash before the fight, dude. I'm talking mad loads. This guy had so much confidence. The guy was saying that he was a professional arm wrestler, and he was a 1-0 as a professional MMA fighter in Malaysia. And this guy just kept talking a lot of shit. So once we get up to the ring, man, he's like doing these cutthroat lines, so flipping people off, dude, this and that. And then he just comes charging at me, dude, just charging at me.
yeah.
And as he comes, just open up with a right hand. And then with less than 5 seconds, dude, it just knocked the crap out of this guy out, dude.
That's on YouTube, isn't it? That's on
Yeah,
YouTube.
man.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, that's so good. So he gave all that talk, and then you knocked him out in 5 seconds. That's just like,
Oh yeah, dude. And I mean, like everybody asked, you ever ended somebody's career? And I was like, yes, from embarrassment, because I don't think that guy ever fought after that again.
yeah,
It was wild. And so I just started building a name for myself in
yeah,
Bangkok. And then instead of going back home to go work, the gym that I was training at just said, hey, why don't you just stay here and just kind of continue doing it? And, you can teach and we'll sort something out for you. So I did. And Stayed there for about 3 years. Kept fighting for this organization, man, and slowly built my name up, and kind of became like a star of Bangkok when it came to the fight scene. And this last December, I just became their welterweight champion.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, man. It was
So
yeah, pretty crazy journey.
so you've gone from, like, obviously America in the time was hesitant to, you know, boxing coach was hesitant to coach MMA fighters. And
Yeah.
then you've gone from Bangkok. What's the difference in the scene then? So, you got Bangkok to US. I know you got the UFC, and at the time would have been Strike Force and stuff like that. But what's the difference in the fight scenes between like Thailand and America? What's the big differences, especially back
I
then?
think the big difference is that there's slowly more of like a road to like kind of getting there in America, where it was like at the time when I was like coming up from being an amateur to going a pro,
Yeah,
is that if you win 6 fights in a row, that's probably your ticket into the UFC.
yeah,
Whereas in Thailand, it's just like, the sport was relatively new. It felt like it was just kind of 10 years behind,
yeah,
everybody still wanting to try and figure this out, all coming from a certain discipline and then wanting to bridge out to it. So it just kind of feels like the Wild West, as in comparison. It's just I would say that that's probably the biggest thing, is just that it's still a little behind, but it's
yeah.
exciting to see like a lot of these Muay Thai guys starting to catch up, and now you're kind of seeing real pure striking coming into
Yeah.
play.
And it's so Thailand is like obviously known. Obviously, Muay Thai comes from there, but I've seen one of your videos on YouTube earlier that you was teaching jiu-jitsu in Thailand then? You was teaching
Yeah.
See, now
Mm-hmm.
that you don't ever, so how new is that over there, like Thailand? Because like you said, they're known for Muay Thai striking, and then you're teaching BJJ over there. So I guess I might be wrong, but you had a lot of people coming to your classes then, because that's something quite new over there, really. Well, you could tell me more on that, but
Yeah, exactly. Like I was saying, the MMA scene was still relatively new, and then
yeah,
jiu-jitsu started becoming a thing. Like when I first started coming there, I think there was maybe 2 gyms of jiu-jitsu. Now there's 8.
yeah, yeah,
Um, that was including my school that I ran. But yeah, and then what started happening was because of organizations like One Championship
yeah,
coming in and signing on a bunch of Thai people. A lot of the Thais wanted to start because they knew they could make 4 or 5 times the money that they were making doing a Muay Thai fight. So then I started all of a sudden getting these. I mean, I would call them kids, but they're considered old fucks in Muay Thai because they're all like about 21,
oh
22.
really? Yeah,
Yeah, they've been fighting their whole life.
yeah,
By the time they reach that age, they're already retired.
yeah.
So they realize how much money they can make in MMA, and they're like, "Hey, dude, you mind teaching me?" So I ended up just getting a group of guys and help prepping them for organizations like One and FMD and a few other like smaller venues that were coming around Thailand at the time.
I suppose they've got a base as in Muay Thai. They're all, especially because most of them are doing it from a little kid, that they're all tough.
Yeah,
That's one asset they're all going to have. They're all tough because they have to be, don't they? I suppose it's a very tough sport. So you just have like the grappling to that. Now, where did you learn your grappling in America? Where did you learn your grappling? Because I see when you come
uh,
to the gym, that's the first thing I remember seeing you. That's what I thought. You do MMA? You had the 10th Planet graphic
yeah.
card on. I was like, yeah. I was wondering, interesting how you come to learn your jiu-jitsu and your wrestling and that.
Yeah, so like in America, they have wrestling in school. So I
Yeah.
wrestled in high school, and then after that, like the only reason I picked up wrestling because I kind of showed up late. Like I only did like 2 seasons, and my coach is like, "Well, why didn't you just come out and try this earlier?" And he's like, "Well, I didn't know I wanted to fight. Like the only reason I'm
Yeah.
doing wrestling is because like the best MMA fighters all know how to wrestle.
Yeah.
So I wanted to learn how to wrestle." And then he's like, "You know what? I know a guy who's a black belt. I'll hook you up with him." So after I graduated, I got with this guy named Lowell Anderson, who was a black belt under Fabio Santos, which is one of the original guys that came from Brazil to
Okay.
America.
Yeah.
And I started learning with him. I started learning a lot of basics. And then I moved to Northern California, a place called Chico, California. And that's where actually CrossFit was like, the idea of it was made. Like
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the paleo diet, this guy named Rob Wolf, that's where like all that stuff comes from. They have a really huge like sports department at this. It's a college town. But in the middle of this college town, they happen to have a gym called Standalone MMA, where both my coaches, Jason Peets, who used to train under Ken and Frank Shamrock, and
Okay.
my other coach, Glenn Cordoza, who trained under Eddie Bravo. So that's where I got first introduced to like the 10th planet system. And then basically that's when I decided to kind of ditch the gi for a while and just focus on no gi.
Yeah,
And
I
then that's
understand
kind
that
of like
one,
what,
right? Yeah.
yeah, because I mean, my scariest thing when I was like, coming up and watching the amateurs was like seeing a guy who was like a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and he's like, all right, cool, man, this guy's going to whoop this dude's ass. And, a couple punches in, man, they have a
Yeah.
saying, it's like a black belt, every time he gets hit, he loses a belt ranking.
Yeah.
So the guy's
Yeah.
pulling guard and he's trying to grab for this guy's collar while he's getting punched.
Yeah.
You just kind of go with what you know. And I was like, yeah, I don't want that to be me. So I decided just to ditch the gi, man, and just focus solely on MMA or jiu-jitsu for MMA.
Yeah. So I've got told you'll have your own opinions on this, but a wrestler, a very good wrestler would beat a BJJ when it comes to like ground. I mean, obviously, because especially if they know, like the wrestler obviously is going to know submissions as well and stuff like. He's going to know BJJ. He goes, but elite wrestlers is when it comes to ground and pound and being aggressive on the ground, it's just a complete different level.
Oh yeah, because they're just the understanding of pressure and
Yeah.
balance, and once they know how to defend the basic guard techniques, a guy can just smother a jiu-jitsu guy. And there's just a tenacity that wrestling that is promoted in the sport, that you have to be aggressive. That I feel like in jiu-jitsu you can be very passive and you don't even have to be a very aggressive guy.
Yeah.
And not having that in an MMA fight is man, is gonna kill you, But what's cool about what I came to the UK was that the town of Wigan.
Yeah,
It's just
Wigan, yeah. You up north,
yeah,
yeah, Wigan, yeah.
yeah. So I was really interested when I came here to go train at the original Snake Pit gym. Have you ever heard of that?
No, I haven't. No.
Oh, mate, dude, that's where if you study the history of wrestling, the American style that they teach us in most schools is called collegiate style. And that is basically the watered down version of what they call I'm gonna butcher the name. Is it Lancashire?
Oh yeah, Lancashire. Wigan will be in
Yeah,
Lancashire. Yeah.
they call it Lancashire style, which is
Okay.
almost like an MMA style. It's like it's really really nasty, man. Like they're taking they're forming their hands into like these weird positions and just grinding it into your
Oh,
eyeball.
really?
Like it's when you look at catch wrestling compared to jujitsu, it's like jujitsu is the the soft art, and
Yeah.
then you got catch, which is like a violent art.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Everything is supposed to be made to hurt you. And so for me, that was like awesome because that was like to finally go learn from like the source of where it all came from, this little town up in northern UK.
Yeah. That's crazy. So you've gone from like California, Nevada, and all that to Wigan. That's crazy, man.
Yeah, it was mad. Dude. It was mad. I loved it though. When trained with those guys for about a week and just kind of understood the whole philosophy and the history behind it. It all came from like all these guys that were coal miners that used to be like former soldiers back in the British colonial days, and then they came back and they like started the gym, and they went all over the world to learn different styles of wrestling, and they came back here and like developed the system, which I
Yeah.
thought was really interesting, man.
So would you say when you went there, that brought on your like ground game, your wrestling game on like tremendously when you went there, your understanding of it? And because obviously if you've done it from high school, you've done it, that's a long period of your life you've been doing it for, but you really, you progressed when you went there and like studied under those guys.
Yeah, exactly. Because now you understand the submission part. Because when
Yeah.
they're teaching you as kids, they don't want you to hurt each other. So they're just teaching you how to hold somebody down and
The
keep them
pin
down.
and
I mean,
that,
that's
yeah.
the whole point of wrestling. Whereas with the catch, they're teaching you how to crank on people.
Yeah.
You can't choke anybody. For some reason, they were explaining to me, the old miners up there said that they didn't like being choked.
Yeah.
They think it messes with your brain or something like that.
Okay.
So everything is either a crank or like some type of armbar or some type of submission. Yeah, man, interesting stuff. And it goes way back to like when the Romans were here. That's how far back this like style and tradition has been.
That's amazing. Yeah, well, I've read into that before. The wrestling was the original before boxing, before Muay Thai. I mean, that was the first. You know, I think was it the first Olympic sport, wrestling? I think it was definitely up there. I think wrestling was.
Yeah, wrestling and boxing, or at least bare knuckle boxing. You know?
Yeah, was one of the original sports. Yeah. What I want to ask you as well is what's interesting. How did you come by the nickname, the Ultimate Honey Badger? I've got to ask you that.
Oh man, so that came in Chico. So remember that YouTube video that was going around, that Honey Badger don't care or whatever.
Yes,
like,
yeah, that was it.
Yeah, so that was going around, and because of being a wrestler and a grappler, and then forcing myself to, like, striking was by far the scariest part for me. For something
Yeah.
about like being hit and all that.
Yeah.
And it just got to a point when I was with like all the older fighters, dude, and these guys are gonna beat up on you anyways, you know. They're just, so you can either cower or do something. So I said, screw it, man. I'm just gonna keep pressing forward and winging it. You hit me, you hit me. And one of the guys just laughed, and he just like, "Oh, dude, this guy don't give a fuck, dude. He's like a honey badger, man. He just keeps coming forward at you." And so that's where the name just kind of stuck around the gym. And then I remember I took like an amateur fight, and they said, "Hey, you got a nickname," and my coach just took, "Hey, man, put down the honey badger, dude."
That's cool.
Yeah.
So, because now you've moved on, and well, the first time I ever met you was training for your bare knuckle fight.
Yeah.
So before we actually get on to that, what are your plans in MMA now? Because I know you've been busy doing that lately. What are your plans in MMA, as in MMA competing in the cage? What are your plans? Obviously, we've got lockdown, but when it's all these finishes.
Yeah, hopefully, if this is all done, I'll be able to at least defend my title for the Fullmetal Dojo. They want to set up at least one fight this year for me to defend the title, and then I would like to do one more bare knuckle boxing fight, just because I took it on such a short notice, with like a 5-week notice. And then I think now, especially since I got all this time in the world to practice shadow boxing and do all these things, like I think I'd fare a lot better, when it comes to the realm of that. But MMA wise, just hoping at some point to get picked up by a bigger show, man. Been doing this for a long time now, and if anybody wants to look at my fights, they can see even the ones I do lose are exciting fights, So I come to entertain, and I just want to get that opportunity to be under the big lights, man, and show the world what I do,
So that what's it called again? That organization you said you'll be defending your title, and what was it again?
Fullmetal Dojo.
Where's that based? Where's that based?
Bangkok.
Bangkok, yeah. So you'll go back, I presume, to do training camp over there, ready for that?
Yeah, I'll probably do a training camp out there again.
Acclimatized again. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe just come out there before, like, about 2 months beforehand, and then just prep myself, and then just go time, man.
That's what that's just crazy. Like that mentality. For okay, you're in America, you learn, and also I'm going to Bangkok to learn. It's just crazy. You've got to have balls, and just to, you're walking into their world, as in, it's going to be, everybody's going to be, you're the new boy. You're still the new boy when you first get there. You're the new boy. So that takes balls. That does, man. You know what I mean? You'll just throw yourself in there. Like, you've come over here to learn. You've gone to Bangkok. That takes balls. That does, just to go into someone else's world, really, and say, look, I'm willing, I'm tough, and that takes, you get, like you say, you get out what you put in sometimes.
Yeah, exactly, man. And like I said, like, my favorite thing to do, I really is to travel to different countries. Every place has their own martial arts. Everyone has their own style. Like, I'm happy and fortunate enough that I got to do two things that basically are like British martial arts, which is bare knuckle boxing and doing the catch style wrestling. I got to see what the culture is more about, and what better way to do it than the art of combat.
Yeah. Now I want to we'll get on to the bare knuckle boxing now then. Yes. So you've come over here to learn the Lancashire, the Lancashire wrestling, like you said, the Lancashire wrestling. How did that come about, that you decided to take part in a bare knuckle fight? How did it come about? Did someone approach you? Did you approach them?
Actually, it started with me making a meme.
Oh, really? Yeah. Mate, I'll see about 20 of them a day on your Instagram. Yeah.
I saw the Artem Lobov fight versus
Paulie,
versus Paulie, and I was like, man, dude, I don't know, just the same feeling that I got when I first watched my first MMA fight, I got watching the bare knuckle boxing. And then so for ever since then, it just been playing in my head that, you know what, that looks like something I could do. I could have a lot of fun with.
Yeah.
And when I came over here, I saw that the promoter for bare knuckle boxing said that they had a pool out at their super middleweight. And so I just made a little meme from the scene from Snatch and just cut out Brad Pitt's face and put it in mine. And then for some reason that got a lot of traction. A lot of people started sharing it, and it got back to the promoters. And he's just like, "All right, dude, you want the fight?" I was like, "Yeah, man, I'll do it."
So it's sort of like by accident, really, that you was, in a way, you never intended to, do it. You just, like you said, you made a meme, and then all of a sudden they've contacted you.
Yeah, man. I mean, in hopes that they would get it, because you just never know. I mean, I've approached a lot of different promotions, and it's just like a job. I think a lot of fighters got to look at it that way. It's
Oh yeah, I
just
get
like
that.
any other job. You got to put your hand up. You got to bug people. You got to let them know you're there.
You got to put yourself out. You got to
And
promote yourself, and that's what you do quite well. I've noticed on like social media anyway. You do push yourself a lot, which is good. You're trying to sell yourself, which you need to.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And especially now, because like I said, I've been doing this since I was 16, and for the longest time, I just dedicated to learning the art because I thought that that's what was going to get you to the show. If I just become really good and dedicate all my time to training, that would be good enough. But if nobody wants to see you fight, then
Yeah.
you're not going to get the fights.
Well, the McGregor
And
effect.
so,
McGregor.
yeah,
There's lots of fighters out there who are better than Conor McGregor, but
yeah,
he's sold himself to the masses. You know what I mean? He's the best salesman UFC MMA's probably ever had. So it stems from
exactly,
that.
exactly. I mean, that's the thing. You and me alone probably know a handful of people that are by
Yeah.
far better than some of the guys that are fighting in the big promotions. But it's just, you have to put yourself out there, and you have to be authentic, and you got to be yourself. You got to go to different places. Like me going to different places, it helps me build up like markets all over the place.
Yeah.
So if I want to come back to Thailand and have fights, I have them now. If I want to come here, I can now. But that's the thing, is that you just kind of got to put yourself out there. It's like, at the end of the day, you're fighting. Yeah, it's awesome. It's a cool pastime. But if nobody wants to see you fight, bro, then and you're not doing anything. Nobody can't sit there and give you an award and all this
Yeah.
stuff just because you want to get ready and train. Anybody can get ready and train. It's just, can you sell the fight? Can you talk to the fans? Can you show your personality and just come across authentic? Because I think that's also the big issue with the McGregor era, is that everybody's just a bunch of cookie cutters of McGregor in a way, and it
Yeah, I
just
get
comes
that.
off kind of cheesy and grimy.
Yeah, I
Whereas
get
if
that.
somebody can kind of find themselves to be authentic and be themselves, then it kind of shines through. And regardless of like if you ever end up getting to that McGregor status or not, I always tell people like this. There's an article I read that made me think about it. It's called 1,000 True Fans, where it says that anybody who's like an artist, which I describe like us, like our art, like boxing and all this, it's an art. This is, if you got 1,000 people, like let's say you put out a shirt and you put on your website, "Hey man, I got 1,000 shirts for sale, this or that, for 20 pounds." You got 1,000 true fans, meaning if you were to host a seminar that was 2 hours away, but that guy likes your stuff so much he's willing to drive 2 hours, that
Yeah.
dude's gonna definitely buy your shirt. So if you got 1,000 people like that,
That's
how
right.
much is that? That's a lot of money, dude,
That's
every
true,
month.
Yeah, that's true.
So you have to look at it like that.
Yeah, that's true. So now then, like you've made the meme, they've contacted you to take the fight. You've said you've agreed to the fight. Now you think, okay, I've got to train for this now. This is something completely different. I know like the striking MMA, you've done Muay Thai, you'd have done boxing sparring, but now this is completely different. The way you punch and stuff like that. Just want to say, how did you train for the fight? How did you train? How did you get prepared for the bare knuckle fight? Hello.
Look.
Oh, okay, you're back now. You're back.
Yeah. There you go. So, sorry, you're saying about the
Yeah.
training?
So they've contacted you about the fight. You've announced that you'll take the fight. Now, how did you get prepared for the fight? Because obviously it's a complete different field, really. It's to any form of martial arts, really, bare knuckle boxing. Even boxers will struggle. Like, look at Paulie. Paulie's a world class boxer, 2-time world champion, if I think I'm right. He lost to Artem. So what was, so how did you prepare for the fight?
Yeah, so I mean, I mean, I just had them on my FMD fight like maybe a month prior, so it's like I'm still in shape. I'm
Yeah,
still having some sparring in, so I was like, okay, I'm not out of shape. And for this fight, I'm actually fighting at the weight I walk around at, so I don't have to worry about cutting weight.
yeah,
So those were my first two worries. And then after that, it was just like, okay, I gotta understand these rules, and I gotta understand, and I gotta find some guys that know what
yeah,
they're doing.
yeah,
Because I mean, yeah, I mean, MMA striking is still far different than just straight boxing.
yeah,
So you know, I came to your guys' gym at
yeah,
RG Boxing. I
yeah,
went to Firewalker, and then I also went down to. I needed to go find some guys that were just training in bare knuckle boxing. So I
yeah.
went to
That's definitely
Connolly's
important.
gym down in Birmingham to train with James Connolly and Mitch Connolly, and just to kind of see what it, you know, what's it gonna feel like when you're in there? What's it
Yeah,
gonna be like? And I mean, everybody says the same thing. I just kind of like from learning from all the three different guys, like what I always try and find like what's the theme here. And everybody said footwork and feinting. Get
yeah,
him to commit, and then you find an angle on him. You know,
yeah,
so that was just kind of the whole focus of the whole camp. And it was the first time in a long time where I dedicated just solely to one art. That had been, you know, usually it's 1 day boxing, 1 day Muay Thai, 1 day wrestling, but this
yeah.
is just
Cool.
boxing every day.
Yeah. I bet. Did you
Yeah.
find that? I mean, I know you like, you're willing to learn. And obviously, very keen. Like you've taken yourself to different countries to learn different things. But did you find just doing boxing, even though did you find that like a bit repetitive after a bit? You feel like, oh, I need to.
Yeah, you know what? A little bit, yes, at
Yeah,
first, and then the more and more I like delved into it, and then just kind of studying, read up on the history of boxing and bare knuckle boxing, and
yeah,
like just like anything, I love martial arts, man. You know, and then it's like sometimes you just kind of when you decide to delve deep into one art, like for a while, you like what's the word I'm thinking about? It's just like you appreciate it more. You appreciate the guys who chose to be
yeah. Cool.
experts in it,
Yeah, yeah,
you know, and yeah, and I just fell in love with the sweet science, man. You know,
you
just
yeah,
understanding that it's all about illusions and creating feints and making you appear that you're closer than you actually
yeah,
are. You know, all these things. I was like, oh man, this is a lot of fun.
yeah.
You know, and I found myself really enjoying it.
I wanted to ask you as well, with your hands. So obviously, did you hit the heavy bag with just your wraps on or anything like that to condition your hands? Because obviously, if you're wearing a 10-ounce glove or an 8-ounce glove or even 14s in sparring, it's still completely different to
Yeah,
hitting bare knuckle. But then you've still got to try and preserve your hands for the fight. Because I saw a video of Paulie when he was getting ready for the Artem fight, and he was hitting the bag with just wraps on and stuff like that. But you still got to preserve your hands for the fight. So
yeah.
how was you doing your training like that? What was it, all gloves?
I
Or?
just looked up. I just looked up different ways guys were conditioning their hands. You
Yeah,
know, and I looked up Dave Leduc, the guy from the Lethway, and he basically just hits the heavy bag after he's done sparring or doing whatever on the pads. He'll do about 3 or 4 rounds on the heavy bag with just his
yeah,
just bare fisted, and then doing push-ups on the ground with his fist.
yeah,
And so I did that, and just a lot of like strengthening my wrists,
yeah.
just
Cool.
trying to do anything that I can just to make my hands strong. And then the Connollys told me something that I thought was key when it came to the boxing is like, well, never let your hands come out of your vision
Yeah,
when you're throwing or striking, because anytime you're going to wind up way too high, one, you know, you're coming with a little bit too much impact. And if you do hit him and you hit him on the top of the head or somewhere
yeah.
hard or on
That's
his
it.
hip,
Yeah,
you're going to break your hand.
yeah,
Where as long as you keep your hand in front of you, it may hurt, but you know, you're not going to be as, at least you're not going to break it.
yeah.
But,
Uh,
but come to
talk,
find out, it didn't really hurt.
yeah, yeah. Talk to me about your first bare knuckle fight, then. Your first one, and what was it like? Arriving in the the venue, everything from that to the actual fight. What was it like
Yeah,
compared to
so
everything?
we arrived. Yeah, yeah, we arrived at the London O2 Arena,
Yeah,
the Indigo Arena.
yeah,
They had a background area where a lot of us were getting warmed up. A lot of local guys, a lot of dudes from Birmingham and all that.
yeah,
I was fighting this guy named Rob Boardman, who was I think he's from the on the other side, like somewhere north of London, if I remember right.
yeah,
And yeah, man, I mean, like I said, I've been doing it for a while now. I don't like, of course, there's always nerves, but
Yeah.
like, this is just like another day at the office. I
Yeah.
felt we just would get up, do a little bit of shadow boxing, hit some pads with the guy that I had cornering me. Then I just sit down, and then went out, started doing my walk, and Rich actually told me something. He's like, you know what, mate, like just enjoy yourself, have a good time out
Yeah.
there. You know what, have fun, because not everybody gets to do this, and you get a
Yeah, of
chance
course,
to
yeah. 'Cause it's a
fight
big
for a
event.
title.
It's a big event. You know, the O2 Arena is a big deal. In boxing, if you fought the O2, you've done well. And considering your
Yeah.
first bare knuckle fight at the O2, that's a big thing. You know what I mean? That's big.
Oh wow, dude. Yeah, I didn't know that. That's cool,
Yeah,
man.
big.
Yeah, dude. So I just wanted to have fun and have a good time out there, and like where a lot of guys were talking a lot of trash. I noticed there wasn't a lot of trash talking at these events, at the pressers, at anything. Whoop. Nope.
Oh, mate, yeah, you're back. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, there was, like I said, there's a lot of respect between the fighters
yeah,
for this at the weigh-ins and everything. And I think it's like, I think there's the understanding that everybody's like, okay, what we're about to do is going to be a little crazy.
yeah,
So,
yeah. It
so
is. It
mad
is.
respect. So mad respect to you too, for wanting to do this. And
Yeah,
the guy was lovely, dude. We were chatting, having a good time beforehand, and then when it came to the fight, dude, bell rang, and we just came out hard. And we were smiling at the whole time at each other, having a good time. And the nerves at first was like, okay, how's it gonna feel when I get hit without a glove, and how's it
yeah,
gonna feel when I hit him?
yeah,
And like after the first couple of exchanges, I was like, you know what, this is all right. It's not too bad.
yeah.
And unfortunately, man, I just couldn't.
Oh,
Whoa,
mate, you're back. Sorry.
yeah, sorry, his internet. But yeah, just in the heat of the moment, and just going at it, and yeah, I was unfortunate that like I got cut over my eye, like right across the eyelid, and it started bleeding into my eye, so it started impairing my
Yeah,
vision. And he had landed a few more shots because of that. So then we go into the second round. I'm feeling all right. He throws another one, and I think it cuts me open right across here. And I just it kind of sucked, because I wish I would have had a little bit more time, because I finally like felt comfortable. Like that
yeah,
first round is because it's just the unknown. You don't know how it's going to feel. You don't
yeah,
really know what's going on, so everything's a little bit more tense. But then after that first round was done, I felt a little bit more comfortable. But just due to my, it's just like the blood would pool up, and I just couldn't see into my eye, and I
yeah.
was
And
just like really
that's a
afraid that,
massive. Yeah, that's a massive
yeah,
hindrance in it.
yeah. So unfortunately, they called it for that. But man, I had a blast, dude. I had a good time. Jim Freeman, the promoter, was happy with the performance, and he says, "Oh, welcome back, man." Everybody said I had a lot of balls for stepping up and doing that in such a short notice. But sometimes that's the way in. My
Yeah,
whole
definitely.
career, I never took a lot of damage. That was the most damage I've ever took, and
Yeah.
I'm all right now.
So your plan is now then to, like you say, defend your title
Yeah,
in Bangkok and have another bare knuckle boxing fight. And it's BKB, in it? BKB. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So which would be first? I mean, obviously, depending on all this coronavirus and that, which would be most likely first, the MMA or the?
I mean, I would think probably the MMA would be first,
Yeah,
just because I think the likelihood of me getting cut in that would be less than what is in
yeah,
BKB. I
get
mean,
that.
it took me
Cool,
roughly about 2
cool.
months
Yeah,
to recover from the cuts I got, but that's what I think would be the best bet to go. Yeah, defend my title, and then try and get a BKB fight here.
yeah. What would your ideal scenario? So let's say you defend it, you win the title, you win your bare knuckle. What would be? Because how old are you? 20? How old are you? 29, 30?
29.
29. So really, you're young in sense of MMA. You know what I mean? In MMA sense, you're quite young. What would you see in the next like 2 or 3 years? Where would you want to be? What would you want to be doing in that time? Ideally, if everything went right for you.
I would just like to get an opportunity in any big organization. It doesn't have to be the UFC. It could be Bellator. It could
Yeah,
be One Championship. It could be Risen.
Yeah.
I just want an opportunity because like I just feel my career wise and looking at what I've already done, that I can compete with any, especially on an MMA level. I think I can compete with anybody
Yeah.
in this game now. I feel confident enough in my abilities, you know, that man, I can be a champion, a world champion, and finally do it, you know, and doing it the way that I've done, nobody's done. So I think it'd
Oh
be an
yeah, you've
incredible
definitely
feeling.
done it the hard way. 100% going to put yourself out there. So no, all credit to you for that. Yeah. So thank you very much for talking on the podcast, mate. It's been a pleasure. Really interesting.
Yeah, for sure, man. Thank you.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to say, and anything you want to add before we wrap up? Anything?
Yeah. If you guys are interested, I just started a YouTube channel. Be posting all my fights, interviews, all that. I'm also going to be doing a technique section on there with grappling and striking. So once all this coronavirus stuff gets up and I can get back into a gym with a proper camera, I'll start getting started with those. And then if you guys want to check me out on my social media, my IG is trujillo.mma, and my Facebook page is Javier Trujillo, where you guys can find me.
Okay, thank you very much, Javier. Thanks for talking.
Right on, thanks,
you stay safe, mate. Nice talking to you. Thank you.
Cheers,
Bye.
brother.
Thank you. Bye.